Hello everybody, this will be a quick video. You read that right. HSBC selects Ripple XRP, and do we have receipts to show that? The answer is yes, but you're going to want to see it and hear it for yourself. So glad to be collaborating again with the one and only Jesse of Apex Crypto Consulting NFA. He does excellent deep dive research. Consider smashing that like if you haven't done so already, and hopefully will earn you guys who are regulars or new watchers your subscription. Let's get into the material and why it matters to you.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to D'CENT Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your D'CENT Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
This comes from the one and only Smoke Dog over on X. Yet again, he makes life so easy. HSBC, yes, HSBC using Ripple's technology, documented. Now there's going to be a few people, they're going to be like, oh, it just says Ripple. Just says Ripple. Pump the brakes on that. Because when we get more into this, let's just first share this. And like you see, it says alternative payment infrastructure solutions. Blockchain has widely been touted as the key solution to cutting the time and direct cost of settling ever-increasing volumes of global payments. I know this part ain't highlighted, but I want to read it anyway. The most high-profile initiatives have been around developing new payment infrastructure using blockchain tech. Ripple, a US-based provider of blockchain-based banking payments technology, has been one of the leading players in this space. Since 2014, dozens of financial institutions, including HSBC, UBS, and Western Union, have announced trials or more advanced commercialization efforts using Ripple's technology. Hey, guess what? We know that when it comes to some of this, there's a lot of other deeper connections with other particular projects, but we are focusing on Ripple XRP. So said most recently, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Santander, UniCredit, Standard Chartered, Westpac, Royal Bank Canada became the founding members of the Global Payments Steering Group, GPSG, which aims to develop rules and governance around the use of Ripple technology, of course, for global payments. Oh, that's all. That's all you have, Max. I'm out of here. Well, you're not out of here just yet, because guess what? In the update, gotta love this. And it's from HSBC, by the way. And like you see, May 24th, literally when? Well, at the time of making this video, right? HSBC debuts Hong Kong's first blockchain settlement service with tokenized deposits. Okay? And some people are asking, Grok, will they use the XRPL? Huh. Everybody's wondering that. You know? They're like, stop wasting our time. We need to see this. Hey, I get it. Let's jump into why this matters to you as an XRP holder. So basically speaking, when you see this, there's going to be people that's going to ask, for example, is it possible the banks are going to only use the XRP ledger without the use of XRP? This is on the minds of so many people, even though it is the native token on the ledger. In other words, the banks will just use their own tokens. Smoke's like, nope. People are like, well, can you elaborate on that? Why not? And then Smoke is like, yeah, you can hold my beer. And basically speaking, I love this guy. He says, yes, Ripplenet does depend much on XRP. XRP will always work as a medium for Ripplenet. Ripple wants to push XRP to a larger platform and play basically a greater role. XRP would have a role in the central bank issued digital currencies. Check. Ripple Labs keeps using XRP in its own network and puts effort into making XRP useful around the world. Documented. Debunked all FUD theories around Ripple ditching XRP in one document. What is he referring to? Well, it's cited in the Atlantis Press. And as we get into it, let's go ahead and pull up this page, because when you see it for yourself, sometimes seeing is believing. Like it mentions, top right, for example, because Ripplenet depends much on XRP, as, for example, as long as Ripple Labs is widely used, because Ripplenet depends much on XRP, the XRP will coexist with Ripple Labs. In this way, as long as Ripple Labs is widely used for its cross-board real-time payment business, the XRP market will always work as a medium for Ripplenet. Moreover, Ripple Labs even wants to push the XRP to a greater, larger platform in this day and age and play a greater role. And like it also mentions, in 2021, the Global Banking News claims that in a white paper, Ripple has opined that its cryptocurrency XRP would have a role in central bank issued digital currencies. So take you over to this part. XRP could become a neutral bridge between different currencies. In this regard, we can see that Ripple Labs keeps using XRP. I'll say it again. Ripple Labs keeps using XRP in its own network and puts efforts into making XRP more useful, of course, around the world. Say what you want. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew, because he brings the receipts. And I love Mr. Man. We know him as Spidey, Mr. Man XRP. People ask, are banks going to use XRP? And what do we have here? Well, he gets into it as well. He addresses what your concerns are. There's a lot of doubters, but let's discuss this. Ripplenet, now Ripple Payments, offers PAX 008. I covered this not that long ago, which is a financial institution customer credit transfer messaging. Hence the whole point of ISO 222. That's another topic. The older equivalent code was MT103, because we know MT is Swift, is coming to an end with coexistence in November 2025 when Swift transfers to ISO 222, which, by the way, ISO 222 is MX, Swift is MT. Ripplenet offers the same financial coding as Swift. The key difference is that Ripple can use XRP as the bridge currency. Yeah. Swift will still rely on a traditional correspondent banking network, and Ripplenet will use a distributed network of FIs. And who are some of those financial institutions? Well, I don't know. I mean, if anything, as the saying goes, have Ripple hold your beer. Because when you do that, you see, for example, specifically this, the correspondence, documentation. You see Deutsche Bank, Anz Bank, Bangkok Bank Public Company Limited, Bank of America, Bank of China, Bank of East Asia. But whatever the case be, the point is, if the beneficiary banks is like Singapore, select the ID correspondent to the appropriate bank from this list. And recently, what did we show you guys on the previous video? We show you the whole thing of IBAN. We showed you, for example, unique identifier numbers. Who creates that interoperability to make that happen? Quant Network. But we are talking about Ripple XRP. So it's very important to always cite some of this. As we get further into it, that's just Singapore. What about some of these other ones? Well, even in these, you see more receipts. Credit Agricole, if I pronounce it right, Corporate Investment Bank, DBS Bank, DNB Bank, Far Eastern. Again, you get the gist. But remember how we mentioned HSBC? Boom, bullet, mash it, stick it in stew. HSBC Bank. All right, tab it more about this, because maybe you want a little bit more. Even in the other citations, what do you have? Well, you have this. And it mentions these other key ones. And again, I think it's all worth pointing out, because when you see it, man, oh man, sometimes, again, seeing is believing. Bank of East Asia, Bank of India, Bank of Singapore. Again, it's all there. Citibank, who, by the way, hosted the RLN, Regulated Liability Network, all those pilots. RSN, the settlement. Think about settlement. Ripple XRP is that settlement. Credit Agricole. You get the picture. And there's a whole other slew of other ones here. We could probably go on for days. And if anything, I'll just show you that quick gist right there without blowing it up any bit more. But yes, I agree with Mr. Man. And that is simply this. When we look into how Ripplenet offers the same financial coding as Swift, the key difference is that Ripple can, in fact, use XRP as the bridge currency. It always was there, but we had to unravel it. We had to get to the point of regulations. That will be the key enabler for all this stuff to blast off. Let's kick it over to Jesse. Again, your thoughts, Jesse of Apex Crypto Consulting, not financial advice.
Hey guys, thanks for dropping in, man. I appreciate it. Listen, buddy, it's always the same story. You see people saying, "Oh, I don't think they're gonna use XRP for settlement, man." Like, I don't think these like the people that ask the question, it's okay, but they probably getting that question because they saw a post from someone saying, they don't need XRP, they can just settle with stable coins. Like people who say that I don't think they've done even 30 seconds of research, honestly, into Ripple. You cannot settle transaction and go from one asset to another without a bridge asset, without liquidity. And it's like, why would Ripple own 50 billion XRP, hold it in escrow, and be doing non-disclosure agreements with other companies, giving them some cheap XRP to bring volume to the network if that XRP was not going to be used? It's it's complete nonsense. Like, of course XRP is being used. Like, there's no advantage if you don't use it. For goodness sakes. Sorry, man. It's just I just don't like people coming and just spin that out like, oh, they're not going to use XRP, and like, no, you haven't done 30 seconds of research, my friend. Like, seriously. Anyways, end of matter. End of rant. I promise you, I'm more positive most of the time. Okay. The Global Payment Steering Committee that you mentioned there, yeah, that's been, I think it's like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, they created, maybe 5-6 years ago they created that, right? And so imagine Ripple themselves, blockchain company, created the Global Payments Steering Committee with some of the most powerful banks in the world. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Ripplenet itself is actually fully regulated. A lot of people don't realize this because Ripplenet was always KYC regulated. Okay, they have the KYC in there, and they also have the anti-money laundering in Ripplenet. So while everybody was worried about the lawsuit, Ripplenet was fully compliant. They were not worried. I promise you. They might have been acting worried on camera or not worried, but they're talking about a lawsuit. We need regulatory clarity. Ripplenet was fully regulatory compliant technically, and also Ripplenet has got the Ripplenet rulebook that all of the banks in the world sign up to. They all sign and agree to that global rulebook. Isn't that interesting? So they've got a rulebook too. They're all on the same page. So a lot of people don't realize that about Ripple, and it's a very big deal. And so I was taking notes about what you said here. Let me see. HSBC tokenized settlement. Of course, there's so much tokenization happening on the XRP ledger. It's specialized for tokenization. It's got a built-in exchange, decentralized exchange within the XRP ledger. And you see that it was talking about central bank digital currencies being built on Ripplenet. Of course it is. Of course it is, because Ripplenet has got a CBDC platform. Ripple's got a CBDC platform where the central banks are building on side chains of the XRP ledger. This was the whole goal about XRP in the first place. This is why XRP was created. It's that neutral bridge currency. Central banks are building their CBDCs on side chains. And remember, guys, the side chains are clones of the XRP ledger. They are carbon copy clones. They are identical to the XRP ledger. Okay, and they're sitting on the side. So you've got the public XRP in the middle here, public ledger, and you've got these side chains that are carbon copy clones. So these side chains that the CBDCs are being built on, they have all the same features of the XRP ledger. So that allows every central bank in the world to do their own thing. Okay, they can create their CBDC, do their own monetary policy. They can print money like complete madmen if they want, and it doesn't affect other countries because now nobody needs to hold US dollar. They don't need to hold a specific global reserve currency, a sovereign currency, in order to settle. So they're not forced to hold US dollar. And so if the US policymakers or the Federal Reserve starts printing money like crazy and they start increasing interest rates and stuff like that, and it creates, let's say it makes the US dollar go stronger, the other countries, it doesn't matter for them because they were not forced to hold US dollar or hold US debt. And because the XRP ledger is a neutral bridge currency, neutral bridge that allows all the central banks around the world to, like I said, they can do whatever they want with their own CBDCs. It gives them that independence from the US dollar. It's a new level playing field. That's why you've been seeing presidents and these very, very powerful people last 4 or 5 years saying, we're going to do a level playing field, level playing field, level playing field. XRP ledger is that level playing field. And could go even deeper. It was planned by the IMF. It's technically the new special drawing rights of the IMF. But yeah, that's why you're seeing they're saying the CBDCs are being built on the XRP ledger. Of course, it's got a CBDC platform specifically for banks. I covered that on one of my videos. You can't even imagine what the guy, the head of CBDC, head of central bank relations, when he describes the CBDC ledger, what it does. Oh my goodness. It's so easy for a central bank to launch a CBDC on Ripplenet. You can't even imagine. It's a joke. It's child's play. It's so easy, and yeah, that's why Ripple is going to dominate.
But let's face it, Jesse, nothing against some of these guys, but there's always going to be a few people in the comments to be like, all this news coming out. I mean, it's HSBC selecting Ripple XRP and using it for settlement. I mean, I've been hearing about this till I'm blue in the face. Still, the price don't move much. How about this? The price hasn't moved because what? Think about it. We are not at mass adoption, but there's key enablers to make these things do what they need to do. Supply and demand. And that supply and demand driver, I'm sticking to my guns. Two main things, and that is mandates, hence ISO 222 mandate, and the other thing obviously is before that, regulations. Those two things will drive up the market something fierce. I'm sticking to my guns about that, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But whatever the case be, at least I put in the time and the homework to at least show my particular research and yours and everybody else that we're obviously networked with and so on. But even for the naysayers, guess what? God bless you. I do pray for you. Nothing against you. We need to get back to the point of agreeing to disagree. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. I really, truly mean that. So, with that said, type in this key term into the comments if you listen to the entire outline, and that is price will move much. And we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Jesse, we'll see you guys on the next video.